safer communities.
Good speak.
Order. Eugenie Sage. Order. 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 Could the Honourable Annie King stop yelling across the House? Eugenie Sage.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Green Party knows what New Zealanders care about. We know that as well as clean government, they want clean rivers. And that's because thousands of Kiwis wrote submissions on the Minister for the Environment's draft proposed changes to the National Policy Statement on Fresh Water, asking for standards in that would deliver rivers that you can swim in. Not just rivers that you can wade in, but ones that you can swim in without having to ring the regional council or check a website to check that you're not going to get sick. And that's why, Mr Speaker, the report the decision that the Board of Inquiry delivered yesterday on the Tukituki catchment proposal is very interesting, because potentially that decision could stymie the Ruataniwha Dam and the massive expansion of irrigation and dairying in the Hawke's Bay that this government is so keen on. And while it was disappointing that the board granted consents for the scheme and for a dam that would only be 16 metres lower than the Clyde Dam, in its decision it's imposing much tougher limits on nutrient pollution than the Hawke's Bay Regional Council and its dam company wanted, and it's imposing much tougher limits in terms of water quality and nitrogen than the government is proposing in its National Policy Statement on fresh water. So that creates a real conundrum for the government, because the board has effectively said that you cannot have irrigation without actually safeguarding water quality and the health of the Tukituki catchment. Yet this government, in all its policies, is about sacrificing the environment in order to promote short-term economic growth. Here, under this government, you have the government tightening the criteria for small communities like Tokomaru Village to get access to the Ministry of Health's drinking water supply scheme to help upgrade its drinking water supplies. On the one hand, those criteria have got much tighter, so they're only available to the most deprived communities. Yet on the other, we have the government paying fast and loose, giving major handouts through its Crown Irrigation Company to agribusiness and irrigators. We saw $6.5 million given recently to Central Plains, and we have the Crown Irrigation Company lining up to give another big subsidy to the Ruataniwha scheme in Hawke's Bay. So given that this government set up the Board of Inquiry, it handpicked the members of that board, it's got to read the decision, look at what the board's saying about the nutrient limits, and it's got to get its hands off any further involvement in decisions around the flooding of the Forest Park. Because the board didn't decline the dam, even though it potentially have got quite major costs for the region. It didn't decline the dam, and it didn't look at the ecological impacts on the river from the flooding in enough detail in our view. Yet when we have the Minister of Conservation suppressing the submission of the Department of Conservation, suppressing its ability to get in front of the Board of Inquiry to present information on ecological values, to present information about the Forest Park, we don't trust the government when it will come to the other decision which could frustrate this dam, which is whether the Forest Park would be flooded. 200 hectares of the Forest Park would be flooded. Nick Smith's paws were all over the decision to suppress the Department of Conservation submission, and we suspect that he'll be all over the decision around whether that land should be flooded. So the government needs to take stock, it needs to read the decision carefully and actually wind back its aggressive promotion of more dairying and more irrigation. Because this dairy juggernaut is not sustainable. It's simplifying the economy and it's sacrificing the environment. A Green Party in government would make sure that we made our 100% pure New Zealand brand real. We wouldn't be giving big handouts through the Crown Irrigation Company to irrigation. We'd put in place strong national standards and bottom lines to ensure that our rivers were clean enough for swimming. We would strengthen our major environmental laws like the RMA, not gut them as National is doing, not reduce the opportunities for the public to have a say. and we would ensure that regional councils focused on their critical role of independently managing water, not promoting irrigation as the Hawke's Bay Regional Council is doing, and that council now has to look really seriously at the changes to the plan that the Board of Inquiry is making.
Speaker.
Honourable Simon.
Mr. Speaker, what a ridiculous set of contributions we've had from